I've seen what love looks like, I've seen its beauty when it's alive.
Keyframe number 5. I have Pig returning from the river, where he's met with his mentor, who told him, like it or not, you're going to make a robot wife. You can't go on like this alone and trying to survive, because you won't. Eventually the loneliness will kill you. It's got to be someone, even if it's someone just to bury you, you've got to go and make a new human being, so there's someone there to talk to and to have by your side. So here he is up in the attic, which is where I imagine his lab is. So many good attics in my life. I'm very fond of those places. So I put him up there, and I have all of his old life, all of his old world that he hasn't done for so long, but he brought with him, is up there. Now, here's the thing. This is a Frankenstein-style story, right? He's here now creating his bride of Frankenstein. They did such a great job in the original Universal movies of creating this electrical wonderland that was going to give life to an inanimate body. And much as I adore that, I don't want to do that again. Partly because it's been done so well, and partly because that's not the world I know. And in the story, I want to try and bring some of the knowledge that I have to this. Plus, he is a robot builder. But I'm thinking now that, his name is Pygmalion. Pygmalion was a sculptor. And the reason his sculpture came to life is he pleaded with the goddess Aphrodite to help him find a woman as beautiful as she was. And she was very flattered, and so she brought his sculpture to life. So I think this is less like the mad scientist that you know, with the bolts of lightning and the Van de Graaff generators, the amazing Strickfaden lab that you saw in the original Frankenstein movie. I think it's more like a sculptor in his studio, creating a work of art. And as you'll see in the story, I think that is the trap for him. He's trying to bring his wife back to life, but at the same time, he's an artist who can't help but try and make things better or bigger or more wonderful or more personal. And that leads to potentially some interesting kinds of conflict down the line. So notice that I've placed Pig on the picture, and I'm trying to find the right posture for the body that he's working on. And I'm not even sure how much of the body is there at the moment, or what he's making it out of, or how he's making it. I would love it if he's so focused on one little piece that really he's not stepping back and seeing the big picture, kind of as if he was working too close to the canvas and not shrinking it down from time to time, not stepping back to see what he was doing. That can also lead to monsters. But he's done this enough that he's probably going to keep the big picture in mind. But we shall see. So here he is, and at the moment he's kind of like a doctor at the bedside there, holding her hand. He's not really doing anything yet. So I'd probably give him some sort of sculpting tool that he could have in his hand and be using that to work on defining whatever part of the body he happens to be concerned with at the time. I don't want to literally try and do a portrait of the woman I had before, because I'm still, at this stage, I'm still seeking out the design of what his wife would look like. And I want you to be able to recognize it from keyframe to keyframe, but at the same time, I like that things can change slightly from drawing to drawing at this stage so that I can explore and I can find the very best look for a particular character as the story plays out. So here I am searching for a face from a different angle, some sort of weightlessness too, because really this came out of advice from that undersea wonderland that he goes to for advice. And, ultimately, I think for the body, as soon as I can, I'm going to try and make it float. I'm going to try and make it suspended in air rather than lying firmly on a hard slab, as I think I may have written when I was writing the words for this part. By the way, that's always been one of my favorite angles for a head too, right? As soon as you can, get off of just the straight on face, with you never see the underside of the chin and everything's flat onto you. When you have a pose that has a twist to it, it gives it a history. Because clearly, if you're facing this way and your head is turned that way, that originally you were all going this and then saw something. And so just that small twist tells you a before and an after, which adds so much to a figure. So even something as simple as a twist, tilt of a head, the raising of a head, can say so much about the animation of the figure, really. Because we're looking for what came before and what came after, which is what most animators want to know at the very beginning of anything. Anyway, so this figure, even the lifeless figure, has a bit of a twist to it, as if she's thinking in her inanimate state, bending a little bit towards the creator. And here's that weightlessness I was talking about. It suddenly occurred to me that in the same way that when you're working on a car, the car is raised up so you can get at the parts underneath. How fun if the body is actually suspended up there so he can get around, and maybe he can raise and lower the body too, so he can work around the different pieces and parts and stuff. I was always very, very impressed with Cirque du Soleil. It's another wonderland that you enter into, and stories they tell are very, very powerful. But again, it's physical theater, so crazy collage of different kinds of acrobatics and ballet and contortions and all kinds of stuff. So I'm thinking, like one of the acts I saw there once, where they're suspended from these long strips of cloth and going up and down depending on how they wind around those. I might use that device here, which is why you have those sort of semi-translucent strips of cloth that are binding her and raising her a little bit up into the air. Once I have her, she's actually the lodestone of this picture, I kind of know what Pig has to be. He's got to be so 100% focused on that hand that he's not really looking at this beautiful half-made woman suspended in front of him. That action of him staring at the hand will let you know what kind of person he is too, right? He's someone who really gets absorbed into the details. He's in his world. He's still inside his head, even as he's working on this body. I put him in a lab coat because it's almost like a superhero costume, isn't it? You put on a lab coat and you're a doctor, or you're a sculptor, or you're a something. And so maybe this was an emblem of his old life, this lab coat. When he took it off, he rolled it up and put it away, or his wife hid it so he wouldn't become this person. And here he is now, and he's got it on, and he's once again, he's the mad doctor artist creating life. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave her unfinished like this, or whether the rest of the body will be there. I kind of like the unfinished part of it. It definitely takes away from the stitching dead bodies together thing, which I'm don't really care for and don't want here for sure. What he's sculpting her out of, I have no idea. And where he got his materials from, I have no idea. What is powering his lab when there's no one on Earth and there's no power, I have no idea yet. But I'll find it. Those are questions that I keep in the back of my mind. And as I continue to draw and paint, I know that I need to search for those. And I have great confidence that they'll all show up. Also, part of his costume is just gave him some glasses. Again, shows a little vulnerability, and also that really allows him to focus in on one little thing that he's doing and maybe miss the big picture, which could actually, work into his character flaw. Maybe that's something that he is not too aware of, that is a obstacle to what he needs to be. Now, I know later in the story, something's going to go wrong, right, when he brings her to life. And I think it would be fun to have a window that she might jump out of. Don't know why at the moment, but I know in my sketch, I had her leaping away from him towards something that he didn't know what it was. She just went because of a call that he could not hear. So yeah, there's a window there. I may not use it later on. We shall see. As for the room, I haven't actually worked out the lab, but I know it's an attic. So a little attic window like that would be quite fine. It's not just a little attic window. It's got some fancy grill work going on up there. And so I know that the kind of building he's in is either older or more upper class or fancier or all of the above than some attic rooms. So really all I'm doing is I'm building a space around her that helps focus your eye where I want it to go, rather than sitting designing the room that they would actually work in. I'll do that later. And I'll come back to this image and the other images to try and tell me what that room needs to look like from different points of view. And then I'll see if I can bind it all together. One of the great things about these kind of scenes, of course, is where the light is coming from, how the light bounces off of things. And at the very end, of course, it's all about the extra bits and pieces in the room that can tell you so much about the process that he's gone through to create her, what tools he needs. It gives you little hints on this kind of creation. Again, I don't want it to be a strict-faden electrical extravaganza. I'd rather it was more like an artist studio. So there's bits of cloth lying around, and there's tables where you would probably have lots of little crucibles and lots of little dishes and brushes and tools and things like that. Once again, I'm working in a higher range than I intend the image to be. And at the end, I go darken it to what I want and place my blue filter. And voila!